Please come to order. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the Commissioners of St. Mary's County meeting this date, Tuesday, June 28, 2022. I am Randy Guy, President of the Commissioners of St. Mary's County. I'd like to introduce the other commissioners sitting to my right, representing the 1st Commissioner District, which includes Ridge, Piney Point, St. George's Island, Mr. Eric Colvin.
Good morning.
Representing the 2nd Commissioner District, which includes Leonardtown, Hollywood, Mr. Mike Hewitt.
Good morning.
Sitting to my left, representing the 3rd Commissioner District, which includes Charlotte Hall, 7th District, Golden Beach, and Mechanicsville, Mr. John O'Connor.
Good morning.
Representing the 4th Commissioner District, which includes Lexington Park, some of California, Great Mills, and some of Hollywood, Mr. Todd Morgan. David Weiskopf, our interim county administrator, is sitting on the table to my left.
Morning.
Lisa Cassis, our communications director, is sitting at the table to my right.
Morning.
Amy Carter, our video media producer, is behind the glass, so please look good when you come forward here. Please turn your cell phones off or on vibrate. When you come to the presenters table, please come down the center aisle. And remember, this meeting is being televised, so you need to speak clearly and directly into the microphone for recording purposes. At this time, we have the invocation and pledge by Commissioner O'Connor. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, we thank you today for bringing us together. We thank you for being in your presence. And we pray for those that carry hate in their heart, and those that need uplifting on your behalf, and those that walk in steps of what they do not know what they do, Lord. We ask that you touch them, you heal them, and you deliver them from themselves, and that you guide them to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Connor. Next, we need the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have a presentation. I think Judge Michael Stamm has introduction for us for a new associate judge. Y'all please come forward, sir.
I feel like a dead man walking.
I always think we need some mood music when you walk down. We could theme it for different people. It'd be good.
Hey, we'll try to put that in next.
Well, as you all know, Judge Densford retired in November, so
Microphone. Sorry, Judge.
You know that by now, wouldn't you? I know you're slow. You're getting old and slow.
We have to hear you, sir. We have to hear you.
You're welcome, buddy.
So as you all know, Judge Densford retired back in November, so we've been without a judge, an associate judge, for the last, 7 months. Lorenzini here was appointed by the governor, was sworn in on June 10th. She's doing her onboarding now. We're very, very excited to have her on board. She's an excellent attorney, going to be an excellent judge. So I asked to come over and see you so you could meet her. She lives, well, I won't going to say where she lives because she's now a judge. You're not supposed to do that. But she's a long-term St. Mary's resident. Judge Lorenzini.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet everyone
morning.
and an honor to be here this morning. Thank you for taking your time with me.
Good to
Well, we
meet you.
thank you. We understand it's a good choice that the governor made. I've heard nothing but great things about you.
Thank
and I'm
you.
sure you'll do St. Mary's County well.
I look forward to working with the citizens of St. Mary's County and ensuring the smooth administration of justice with Judge Stamm. So thank
Sounds
you.
great. Sounds
Congratulations.
Great. Congratulations.
What they don't know is that Amy here was Judge Kamenitz's fault work. I replaced him. He retired and worked for me at the state's attorney's office when I was still deputy state's attorney.
Wow. Okay. You've had a lot of time here in St. Mary's County, then that's good. That's good.
Have come full circle. It's very nice.
Good.
Come back
Very
home.
But you're not a New York Giants fan, are you?
It's okay. There's two of us.
There's two of us.
There's two of us. We're good.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, judges, both
Thank
of
you.
you. Thank you
Thank you.
very much for being here.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Have a good day. Thanks.
Next thing we have is the accommodation. Commissioners, please come forward. Laney's done a great job in our county for many years. Mr. Harry S. Laney, Lancaster, please come forward, sir, at this time. He's done a great job with what he's done down here in St. Mary's County for our homeless population and turning people around when needed. And he's got a great thing started, and he's done a great job continuing it. And we're hoping the lady who's taking over, who's sitting right now, she's doing a great job starting off. We understand Laney's proud that his replacement looks like a good one. Now we're happy about that because he's done a great job in all of these programs that he's initiated and helped the people turn their lives around, get them back on, and be productive in life and live a good life. And we thank you very much for that, Laney. Officially commends Harry S. Lancaster for over 20 years of outstanding, praiseworthy, I think it was 24 years, wasn't it? 24, I'm sorry, okay.
Don't forget it.
No, don't forget it. You're going to come meet you one of our boards here very soon. We'll let you retire for a few months. Praiseworthy and dedicated service to St. Mary's County and the betterment of our community. Through your diligence, dedication, relentless pursuit of excellence, you have rightfully earned the community's gratitude, respect, and admiration. We hereby express our sincere congratulations on this occasion of your retirement and extend best wishes for your future endeavor and ask God's blessing upon you. Thank you. You're next.
Oh, I am?
We'll let you go ahead.
Oh, that's a mistake. I just want to be thankful today. I'm glad I've lived long enough to do this. And I especially I had a wonderful shindig on Friday night. My staff and friends and family and partners in the community that worked with me for the last 24 years. And even the board president showed up to say hi to me. But today I'd like to thank the county government because without your support, this board, so many boards before that, the services that we're providing wouldn't have been possible. And our homeless services office here in the county, Cynthia Brown, has been amazing and so helpful, not only to me, but all homeless services in our community. So this is it, and I appreciate this very much, and look forward to that board you're going to sit me on sometime.
We'll leave you retired for a few months, and we'll bring you back. But the Three Oaks Center has been a hallmark in our community in trying to help the homeless, and not only for the normal homeless, but also he kept a lot of veterans also. I didn't realize how bad it was until about 25 years ago, about the number of even those had been in service 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years or whatever and had issues and were homeless. And I was sort of shocked myself. I'm a 26-year Air Force guy, and when I found out how many homeless he's had, and when one day my brother was sitting there at the Three Oaks Center, checking people in and getting them out of there, and he called me up and said, I got this Army guy who's homeless. I said, what do you mean? Yeah. What's wrong? He said, well, he needs some medical help. And I said, we'll get him to the VA and get him treatment. I mean, come on, we'll take care of him. And we did. And I'm proud of his service, and it's going to continue. No doubt in my mind. I'm looking right at her right now. Thank you very much, Laney. Hey, wait. Photo op. Okay.
Just you guys first.
Just guys first? Okay. Okay.
All right.
Family.
I'll say family, and then I know we have.
I better take my breath. I took mine off too. Come on up. No, come on up. Come on up. You come on up. You get right there. Get right there. Yeah, I can retire too. Oh, you really? Oh, well, good.
All right. Who do you want?
Staff.
Come on. Some staff? No, get your staff.
Come on, man. Don't be shy. Get everyone over there.
Is this his official?
That's just
Here's your script.
Where is this fish fry road on it? That is fish on it?
No, that's
Where's the fish fry?
He should.
He's already got it.
Come on down this side, buddy. Keep it wherever you want. I like the balance. Put it where it wants.
See everyone, everyone see me?
Everybody?
Everyone smile. Okay.
Understanding it looks good for you.
What? I hope so.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
The chairman told me you're in like Flint.
I wish. We'll join at 10 o'clock one out.
Okay.
Next, we have, okay, next is for the
Microphone, Randy?
Next, we have the Run for Hospice, and we need Jim Dickus, Jamie Thomas, Jeff Thomas, is that Jennifer Overstreet? Yep. John Richards, Ann Richards. All please come forward.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Come on over here, 'cause he's a big, go ahead.
You want to open your accommodations? All right, put them on display. All right, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County officially commends everyone standing here today for your dedication, because Commissioner President Guy has my list. Officially commends Jim Dickus, Jamie Thomas, Jeff Thomas, Jennifer Overstreet, John Richards, and Ann Richards for your dedication to the annual Run for Hospice, a strong community event that brings St. Mary's County together to raise funds and awareness for St. Mary's County Hospice. Without your hard work, this run would not have been as successful as it has been for the last 25 years. We thank you for your commitment to our county. This date, June 28th, 2022.
Thank you, Commissioners and hospice staff. So it's been an honor to work with these guys, Jeff and Jamie, Ann and John, for 25 years. It's rare that we have a team in place for 25 years, but the event's been really successful. And these guys know firsthand service and service to the community of St. Mary's County that we all love. So thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for what you do. Yes, thank you. Thank you all very much. We were going to yeah, we wanted to. I'll be there next year, don't worry. I'm very excited. See what you can get out of me.
Squeeze all of them out.
Push it.
Yeah.
Okay, getting into our main agenda, next we have the Department of Land Use and Growth Management request for public hearing, proposed cannabis ordinance. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, Mr. Weisskopf. John Hauser and I are appearing to request a public hearing to consider an ordinance for medical cannabis growing, processing, and distribution. The proposed ordinance was reviewed by the Planning Commission at a public hearing on May 9th, 2022. The Planning Commission voted to continue the public hearing until June 6th, 2022. At the June 6th meeting, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the ordinance be adopted by the Commissioners of St. Mary's County. The suggested date for the public hearing is July 26th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Mr. Hauser has a PowerPoint he would like to present.
Good morning, Commissioners. As Mr. Hunt said, a brief PowerPoint that goes into the background of this issue, as well as the proposed text amendment and the minor amendments that were made to the proposal by the Planning Commission, which the Planning Commission, as Mr. Hunt said, unanimously recommended to the County Commissioners. Ms. Casas, if we could have the next slide, please. As a quick background of the procedural history of this case, the Commissioners well remember on March 22nd, 2022, this process was initiated when the Commissioners requested the Planning Commission consider adoption of a text amendment that would regulate future use and siting of medical cannabis growers, processors, and dispensaries. The Planning Commission had on May 9th their first meeting to consider the proposed text amendment that was drafted by staff. After a presentation and discussion that night, the Planning Commission continued to June 6th to gather further information and to consider it. On June 6th, the Planning Commission did, as said, unanimously adopt a resolution approving the adoption of the text amendment that's been brought forward to the Commissioners today with some minor changes. Background on the medical cannabis industry itself. It legalized in Maryland in 2014 by an act of the legislature. The first medical cannabis facilities licenses were not granted and did not become active until December of 2017. In the 4 years of operation since then, the medical cannabis industry has got total $600 million in retail sales across the state, with approximately 150,000 statewide patients registered in the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission's rolls. There are 3 categories of licenses that the state promulgates for the medical cannabis industry: growers, processors, and dispensaries. And as indicated on the slide, there is a max number of each license that is set by law. All but a handful of these licenses have already been granted across all 3 categories. Next slide, please. Underpinning the medical cannabis industry in Maryland is a very comprehensive state regulatory scheme, both by statute and as adopted in COMAR. The relevant provisions are included on this slide. The binder I've assembled on both upstairs numbers about 450 pages. I thought I would spare the Commissioners much exploration of those pages and summarize it by saying that succinctly, this is a tightly regulated industry at the state level from all aspects. Growing the product, processing the product, refining the product, selling the product, distributing the product. All of it is very tightly controlled by the state and tightly monitored by the state as well, with real-time reporting requirements and real-time spot checks as well by state compliance officers. Next slide, please. Because of the limited licenses that are granted in the state of Maryland and because of the high capital costs in beginning this industry and other regulatory burdens, both state and federal, the tendency in Maryland's industry has been for the industrial facilities, the commercial activities to be located at a large scale. It simply is not economically viable to carry on the industry in its current state at a small scale. Because of that, because of the size requirements and the scale at which operators wish to carry on this industry, in the first wave of licenses, you saw operators going after large structures that were more or less ready to use with modification. These were abandoned factories, abandoned warehouses, other large structures that operators would then retrofit to bring them into both what they needed as an industry and what state regulations would require as well. In the second and third waves of license grants, there's been less going towards existing structures and more new construction as well. But those, again, are at a large scale, occupying a large square footage, particularly and solely in the case of, or solely large structures for growers. Processors, if it's an independent operation, can get away with smaller buildings, but growing facilities are in minimum five figures in terms of square footage. Next slide, please. The state left the issue of local zoning up to the counties, with the one parameter that counties may not adopt zoning regulations that are so strict or so prohibitive that while on paper they would appear to allow the industry to operate in that jurisdiction, in reality they do not. Within that sandbox, the counties have latitude in terms of what policies to adopt. And you have seen a wide range taken across the counties in Maryland. You have some counties, Washington County, for example, that is extremely permissive, where there are very few, if any, regulations on the industry, and it is treated as agriculture just like a field of corn in terms of how restrictive and how, at the zoning level, involved the county wishes to become in those decisions. Other counties, such as Anne Arundel County or Carroll County, take a much more prohibitive stance. Of the counties that have chosen to adopt cannabis-specific regulations, there is a survey or a synopsis of those provided in the addendum to the staff report that was provided on June 6th. Those are there for the commissioner's reference. I won't go into them any more than what we do now. The text amendment that's proposed before you all comes roughly in the middle of the road in terms of what has been proposed in Maryland, in terms of how harsh it is or restrictive it is, and how permissive it is in other respects. Next slide. As stated, the proposed text amendment not only incorporates regulations from the other counties in Maryland or looks to them for guidance that have adopted cannabis-specific regulations, it also does look to other more mature industries, states that have had legal cannabis industries for longer than Maryland has, and what we can learn from the practices, successes, and failures that have been implemented in those states. What the text amendment does is propose 3 new use types, one for each licensed activity. It also includes corresponding definitions. With each new use type, there are both general standards that will be applicable more or less to each cannabis industry use as a whole here in St. Mary's County, and also some specific regulations for just that specific use type. Next slide, please. The other feature common across all 3 of the new uses is that all will be given a conditional approval only. What that was, and the theory behind that, was that by requiring conditional approval, any activity for which a permit will have to be sought also then have to, at a minimum, go before at least one public hearing before the Board of Appeals. We thought that would be a way to ensure and guarantee stakeholder input in every situation. The Planning Commission did make a slight change to this regimen. One of the trade-offs in the original proposed text amendment was that minor site plan approval would be required in every instance, which would skip over the concept site plan and major site plan approval. That would still require technical evaluation committee approval. It still would have gotten due diligence, but it would have obviated the need to go in front of the Planning Commission. A Planning Commission did, and the text amendment recommended, take away that provision. They do require general site plan approval. In almost every instance now, a new development under these 3 uses will require a public hearing both before the Planning Commission and before the Board of Appeals. Common across every use as well is the perhaps redundant, but it never hurts to spell things out, is the requirement that at all times and all places that each industry will have to abide by any and all applicable state regulations and be providing proof of that to Department of Land Use and Growth Management when they seek their permit. Next slide, please. As for the use types for cannabis growers, the allowed zoning districts will be the industrial district, the limited commercial industrial district, and the mixed-use high-intensity district. This is the recommendation of the Planning Commission and deviates slightly from the original proposed text amendment, which would have allowed for use in town centers as well. It also includes 500 setbacks from the property lines of residences, schools, daycares, and substance abuse treatment facilities, so that no new use type will be allowed within 500 feet of the property line of any of those existing uses of an adjacent or in close proximity parcel. There are also, for cannabis growers in particular, more specific standards implemented that will abate odors stemming from the cultivation and post-harvesting operations. It also prohibits outdoor growth, which across the industry, anecdotally and in discussions with other operators from across the state, outdoor growth seems to be where many complaints of smell emanate from. And taking care of the outdoor growth, as Carroll County has done, will hopefully eliminate much much, if not all, of the odors that will emanate from these growers that have the possibility, the propensity to spread beyond the property boundaries there. If you can keep the growth contained indoors where it can be treated, where you can have it, the air can be purified, you can keep most of those odors, again, most if not all of those odors from escaping that facility. Next slide, please. Cannabis processors are the second proposed use type. The allowed zones, again, will be industrial, limited commercial industrial, and mixed-use high-intensity. These are the same, purposefully so, for the cannabis growers. It is possible, though not required, for a processor and a grower to operate under the same roof. Some operations throughout the state do grant dual licenses. That's what some do. Others do not. So there's the possibility for a processor to be a standalone industry, as the proposed cannabis processor in this county will be. 500 setbacks are also carried over from the cannabis growers from residences, schools, daycares, and substance abuse treatment facilities. Next slide, please. Finally, cannabis dispensaries are the third and final use type. The allowed zones mirror those that existing pharmacies would be zoned under today. Those allowed zoning districts for cannabis dispensaries are high-intensity mixed-use, medium-intensity mixed-use, low-intensity mixed-use, corridor mixed-use, town center mixed-use, rural commercial limited, and rural service center, with 500 setbacks from schools, daycares, substance abuse treatment facilities, and some standards related to the permissible signage and advertising that can be carried on at each dispensary. Next slide, please. That concludes the presentation. Available for questions, or if there are no questions, then I believe Mr. Hunt and I would request the commissioners consider taking this to a public hearing on July 26, as Mr. Hunt said.
Tell me, Mr. Kauser, in your research, did you find any in the critical areas in the critical areas of the state of Maryland, or the rural preservation districts in the state of Maryland?
I couldn't find another location that was located within the critical area. There is in Queen Anne's County a provision that if a facility is ever located in the critical area, that can only be done so in an intensely developed area, the IDA overlay. That's the only critical area regulation that I found another county here in Maryland has adopted with regards to citing these industries.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hauser, on the outdoor growing, do some counties allow outdoor growing? I thought I had heard that on the Eastern Shore there's a lot of outdoor growing.
Some counties do, and there is outdoor growth in the state of Maryland. The one that I'm familiar with that we've seen firsthand from the site visit to Colt LLC's facility in Cambridge, Maryland, does have about 3.5 acres given over, and obviously you can't have 3.5 acres in downtown Cambridge, and I'm not sure if it's really appropriate to talk about there being a downtown Cambridge at all, kind of like downtown Leonardtown. Sure. But they do have in fairly close proximity to commercial operations, literally right next door to the police station, which interesting to me, but they do have outdoor growth. Washington County, I believe, has some as well. Prince George's County, I don't know that they have any that allow it, but they do make a provision for outdoor growth in their county code, and their requirement is that if it's going to be an outdoor growth, it has to be in the rural preservation district. There have to be setbacks where the first plant has to be so many feet set back from the fence that is surrounding the property, and that it has to be on a parcel, I believe, at least 10 acres in size. Maryland state regulations also explicitly allow for outdoor growth. They don't require it, they don't mandate it, but they do allow for it.
So I had a chance to read the ordinance, and after several conversations, one of the key things that stands out, because there's been two positions on this. One is it's not about the cannabis, it's about the building. And the other is it's about the building, not the cannabis. So I guess both equally important. When we're looking at this particular ordinance, it is geared toward medical cannabis, or cannabis in any capacity, essentially, how they're working it. So the building itself is not covered, because if the person has a farm plan, if the person has everything in place that they want to do, if they want to grow sunflowers, they can build a 50,000 square foot facility. They can, in the same fashion in which it is designed now, because it falls out of the regulations of cannabis, and then they can grow sunflowers. So keeping the expectations or managing the expectations of what this particular ordinance is doing. It's not stopping the facility from going up, because dandelions, sunflowers, petunias, whatever it is they want to grow farm-related, they could still build that building. It's just that they can't do cannabis at the building. So this ordinance takes care of one point that was brought up from the particular community, but it does not cover the second. So keeping that in mind, I didn't know if there was something that wanted to be looked at within this, or is that something that is completely and 100% aside from this particular ordinance?
It was considered early on, because the Commissioner's right to point out that it wasn't so much that this issue came up because of cannabis, the use, or anything specific to that particular industry. Obviously, we had an operation going in that attracted attention, and that is what was the impetus behind giving this a closer look. But the Commissioner's correct that this text amendment would do nothing to prohibit, say, a 50,000 square foot indoor agricultural operation if someone wanted to grow poinsettias, tomatoes, whatever it might be on indoor hydroponics. The reason that was considered early on, the reason we didn't want to broach that at this time is because that does have the propensity to infect many more industries and uses and livelihoods in St. Mary's County than this one use type. We also haven't been seeing in the industry yet down here, and in talking with our local farm bureau, it didn't seem that there was a propensity in the near future for anything like that to be seen, although I'll concede there is the possibility. And if someone wants to come in 2 weeks from now or a week after this ordinance is passed with their 50,000 indoor tomato farm that would draw upon much of the same public infrastructure demands as, say, a 50,000 square foot cannabis operation, this text amendment would have nothing on that. And the best we could do is interpret it under the existing agricultural use types for probably a major industrial application, which would at least get it a public hearing and get it to some oversight. But that is a flaw, or that is at least something that this text amendment does not address. The reason being that we thought opening it up to that level would require more resources and more time than what we had available to meet drafting this text amendment in the short term.
Right. I guess my point on that is to the key of what you said, it would be far-reaching and touch many more industries within the farming or agricultural industry. So I'm sure there would be some other issues with that. But I just wanted to manage the expectations that this does not stop a farmer or anybody that has a property that has a site plan from building those facilities, going through any other process that's already designated in place. So this is particularly regulating the medical cannabis, or soon to be recreational cannabis industry in Maryland.
Correct.
So, you know, that's the double-edged sword with it.
And even perhaps to elaborate on that point a little bit more, it is not the design or the function of this text amendment, in my opinion, to regulate future recreational use. That question did come up before the Planning Commission, whether we should, instead of saying medical cannabis, refer to cannabis in general, since it seems a foregone conclusion. Recreational cannabis will be legalized on the ballot come this November. The reason, in our opinion, staff's opinion, to hold off on that at this time is we do not know what that future industry is going to look like.
Is it possible to put something within the actual ordinance as should it be, then this ordinance would be applicable?
It certainly could be. That could be most likely as easy as omitting the word medical. I was a little hesitant to do so at first because for whatever else, however we think about its imminent future, recreational cannabis is still illegal, and I think there might be something to said about the propriety of preemptively legalizing something on the books. We could put in the trigger language that should it be passed, these effects will also then apply to recreational cannabis.
Seems logical than having to come back and redo an ordinance or pass another ordinance at the same time.
I'd suggest we take one thing at a time. I'm going to move that the Department of Land Use and Growth Management be authorized to schedule an evening public hearing on July 26th at 6:30 p.m. on the proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 285 of the Code of St. Mary's County by adding use 51-3-84-A, medical cannabis growing facility, by adding use 51.3.84.b, medical cannabis processor, by adding use 51.3.76.a, medical cannabis dispensary, by amending Chapter 90 by adding definitions of medical cannabis grower, medical cannabis processor, and medical cannabis dispensary.
Second discussion. So before this meeting, I hadn't even considered the recreational aspect, so that is something we need to keep in mind. We're in this situation now because we lacked foresight, and we need to be able to just be ahead of the game when that does come down the pipeline. So we don't want to forget that when that happens. Timeline-wise, we're approving a hearing on July 26th, and I know that there is an expectation for us to move forward with this as quickly as possible. Just for anybody who's listening and paying attention, the reasoning for that is we don't meet next week. We have a meeting on the 12th, which is 2 weeks from today. We require 2 weeks of notification in the media for the public hearing. We don't meet on the 19th. The 26th is our next meeting. That's the soonest we can have this hearing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And since it is going for a public hearing, I do want to see that provision in there for the public to comment on for recreational.
The recreational is not legal yet. There's no reason to bring it up until it's legal.
I think we should
I'm
wait
putting
until
a trigger in there.
Until the law comes in place, because the state's going to probably put their rules and regulations up, and we'll have to copy off of that.
Well,
I would think. I don't
Deal
know.
with it when it comes down the road.
Right.
Well,
It would be
I'm
hard
looking
to make
for
an amendment to it if we had to.
Well, we already see the road that we went down before with this type of conversation, and then nothing happened. So that's why I'm asking for a trigger to be added, which does not do anything if the law doesn't pass. And if the law passes, it puts the trigger in there.
I would think simply removing the term medical would solve everything, but just cannabis industry.
Just deal with it when it comes time.
Okay, we'll let the public comment on it.
The two commissioners won't be here then.
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay, got a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We now turn it over to the county administrator for his agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner President Guy. First up are the draft agendas for July 12th and July 26th. There will be no meeting of the commissioners on July 5th or July 19th. First up, July 12th, we'll start at your normal time and place. Invocation and pledge by Commissioner Morgan, followed by a proclamation for National Park and Recreation Month, county administrator time, commissioner time, and then you'll have a public forum at 6:30. On July 26th, you'll start at your normal time and place. Invocation and pledge by Commissioner President Guy. And then at 9:05, you'll have the Office of the County Attorney request for public hearing for the transfer tax exemption. Then County Administrator time, Commissioner's time, closed session for real property recess. And then at around 1 o'clock, Department of Finance bond sale, adjourn. And at 6:30, you'll have a Department of Land Use and Growth Management public hearing for the proposed cannabis ordinance. And first up on today is the Sheriff's Office Fiscal Year 23 School Resource Officer Adequate Coverage Grant Application. Ms. Lottie Bell and Interim Assistant Sheriff Captain Yingling.
It was hard to get out, wasn't it?
Good morning.
My fellow interim.
There you go.
So this grant application is for the continuation of the School Resource Officer Adequate Coverage Grant in FY23. The amount of the grant funding is $204,000, $204,369, which is formula-based for 29 schools. The projected county funding needed for the grant SROs for the time worked in the SRO program is $114,581. There's an enclosed budget amendment which will reduce the grant funding in accordance with the allocation, and it will also realign the reduction in county funding to law for non-SRO hours worked by the officers assigned to the SRO grant. Respectfully request your approval of this submission.
So this is like a 66-34 split with us getting 66 from the state and we're kicking in 34% roughly. Yeah, sound like a good deal.
All right, I move to
Captain
approve.
Hingley, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know, did y'all just recently have a meeting talking about SROs in the schools?
The sheriff and Mr. Wine and Dr. Smith did have a meeting last week. We meet regularly with the
Okay,
public
I
school.
didn't know if you had more increases since some of the things just happened recently in our country. I just heard about it, and I just wonder if there's been any increase, speculation that we're going to put more out there into the...
Since this grant came in, obviously that brought 2 extra SROs into the middle schools. We partnered with the public schools to obtain grants to the elementary school Overwatch, and we're always seeking opportunities to expand our footprints in and around the schools.
Very good, very good. Okay.
I move to approve the FY 2023 School Resource Officer Adequate Coverage Grant for FY 2023 from the Maryland State Department of Education, Maryland Center for School Safety in the amount of $204,369, and authorize Commissioner President to execute the related documents and staff to submit electronically.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Ayes have it.
Next up is also from the Sheriff's Office for fiscal year 2023 Police Accountability, Community, and Transparency Grant Application.
Through this new grant opportunity, the Sheriff's Office is requesting $76,796. This will cover the acquisition of a virtual reality simulator hardware and the equipment, and the related subscription service for year 1. The grantor has advised this grant will be available to apply for up to a total of 3 years. So if the grant is awarded for 23, the Sheriff's Office plans to apply for grant funding to continue the program in 24 and 25, depending on the success of the program. This grant is not included in the Sheriff's FY23 budget, thus a budget amendment would be needed to establish budget authority at the award stage, and there is no county match required.
Tell me, I read this last night, and virtual, what's going to happen?
That's what I was asking, too.
Is it like a movie or something? What is it?
So one of the requirements of the law was that we be able to train officers in de-escalation and various tactics. We have various programs in place that meet the bare need of the statute. However, the statute, for example, use of force went from objectively reasonable to necessary and proportional, and they didn't define that in the law. So about 4 weeks ago, we received some guidance from the Attorney General's office on just what that means to them, and we're in the process of training on that. So what the VR does, it's a set of goggles. It incorporates the use of force tools that the officers have: handgun, taser, the OC spray, baton, other less lethal options, and the officers can demonstrate and train towards the de-escalation.
Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to make sure I understand, this would not be used in an actual, look, we got a problem here.
No,
let's put my goggles on, let's figure out what I do, or let somebody come in and see what I'm doing and say, hey, do this or do that. This is a training exercise on the side.
Exactly, and it is portable. At the Southern Maryland Criminal Justice Academy, we have a what we call a FATS machine. It's a big computer with a bunch of very static discs that you can put in and play a finite number of
actual situations,
scenarios or situations that are there. It's in Welcome, Maryland. It's a valuable tool, but this is modular. It's portable, so I could bring it here and set it up. I could use it in our training room at headquarters. We can incorporate it with
well,
our
again,
fire.
I'm trying to find out, and look, I'm going to support it. My question is this actual events where something's happened and an officer could have done something differently, where they can take the training from an actual event that happened, or this is just...
So Axon creates the scenarios. They're ever expanding their library of scenarios, which would be... This is a kind of a subscription service is how it is. So we get access to all those. And so what they do is they take events around the country or fictional, but it is a way for us to demonstrate proficiency in
Will it be actors or real people?
It's virtual. It's computerized. It'll be real police officers with a goggle on. You'll have...
but they'll be watching like cartoon characters?
It will look like real people. It's no different than a flight simulator that you
Video
play on
game.
your computer, or it's an extremely high-tech video game, but it has 3D depth and the ability of someone to walk them through that scenario, and then the teaching points afterwards.
Okay, all right, thank you. Well, I move to approve the grant application for the FY 2023 Police Accountability, Community, and Transparency, PAC, grant application from the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth, and Victim Services in the amount of $76,796, and authorize the Commissioner President and Sheriff to execute the related documents and staff to submit electronically.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. And next up by the Sheriff's Office is the fiscal year 2022 Cooperative Reimbursement Agreement Award for the Child Support Grant.
This grant agreement award relates to the green light submission for the federal fiscal year 2022 Cooperative Reimbursement Agreement for the Child Support Grant, which you approved in August 2021. The grant is for $490,375 in federal funding and $297,731 in county funds. The grant reimburses a portion of the expenditures for 4.08 full-time employees, a vehicle, equipment, fuel costs, and supplies for the child support unit. This grant and the related positions are included in the FY22 approved budget. A budget amendment is included to increase the grant funding and realign funding from the law accounts to cover the increase needed in the county funding.
Okay, another question for you. Yes, sir. This was always an issue for me when I was in business. I'd have a tech that would show up, and great tech, doing great work. How come he's not employed? 2 months later, here comes that letter from the court. Garnish his pay. Boom, 2 weeks later, he's gone. Have they done any changes that makes it able for, I guess, whoever owes this, and I'm not trying to say they should get off, they should be held accountable, but what the restriction was, is by the time you garnished that pay, these people couldn't live on what they got unless they lived with their parents or lived, you know, very austerely. Has there been any changes in that whole program?
I've watched the child support process over the last almost 25 years of my career, and you've seen it go from a more enforcement-driven system where up to incarceration, suspending driver's license. I think the courts have taken a different tenor. We serve a lot more papers than warrants. The courts call the people who have the child support obligation and to work with them towards that collection. So there has been a change in that tenor. Ultimately, how that works is up to the courts, but I've seen a more collaborative effort between the courts and the responsible party.
Okay, I just seen it didn't seem to work, so.
All right, I move to approve the FFY 2022 Cooperative Reimbursement Agreement application for the Child Support Grant from the Maryland Department of Human Services for child support enforcement in the amount of $490,375 federal and approximately $297,728 county funds, and authorize the Commissioner President and Sheriff to execute and submit the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes the Sheriff's Office for today. Next up is from the Department of Economic Development, the annual Memorandum of Understanding with Visit St. Mary's, Maryland for tourism responsibilities. Director Chris Casalima is presenting with Ms. Barbara Zapata.
Thank you, Mr. Weisskopf. Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
As Mr. Weisskopf said, we're asking you to approve the annual agreement with Visit St. Mary's, MD for the coming fiscal year. As a reminder, the county entered into a master operating agreement in 2018, a 10-year agreement, which sets in place the long-term relationship between the county and Visit St. Mary's. It states the county's intent to recognize this entity as the primary entity through its tourism promotion will be conducted on behalf of the county, and the county's intent to provide long-term funding to the agency. The MOU states the county will provide $400,194 for fiscal year 23. The amount of actual accommodations tax was $743,932, down again from the previous year, again, still due to COVID. So with that, I'll turn it over to Barbara if she has any comments. No? Any comments, any questions?
I didn't have many comments, but I just wanted to say thank you for considering the same funding for us again. We're excited to say that we're seeing great recovery. Our housing is full, our events are booming, everything is going really well. Recreation is back, our visitors are here, and it's going to be a great season here in St. Mary's County, so we're excited.
Great.
And Barbara's done a great job. As you know, I sit on the board. I think we have Town Administrator LaShelle McKay also here, and she's on the board also. So it's a good, strong board, and we're very pleased with Barbara's, how well she's performed.
Great, great.
Hey, you're ready for some big events this summer, right? Even we have Queen of sitting next door to us. Let's wave down. That wave down.
That's right. The Jazz Fest this year will be 3 times the size that it was last year, and they've added acts, and we've got events going on Friday and Sunday. It's going to be a great weekend. I would say the same about Oyster Fest. We're looking forward to that, and I would be remiss, thank you, LaShelle, for coming in, if I didn't plug to everyone listening and everyone sitting on this panel that all summer you can come into Leonardtown and ride a free trolley Friday and Saturday and Sunday, so you can get around and see everything from the wharf to the winery and everything in between without having to drive your increasingly expensive car. And so we welcome all of the county and everybody in the area to come to Leonardtown and ride that free trolley and experience how great that town is.
Great, great.
So my one comment, you do wonderful work. You've done great stuff, and I see you everywhere, and I love that.
I see you everywhere.
Well, thank you. The one weakness in this system, and just de facto is how it worked out, is that the whole system is based on overnight stays, which is great. It provides a lot of income from the county. The thing that I keep harping on that I want to see is more emphasis on our airport. Not less emphasis anywhere else, but just more emphasis on our airport. But as a regional airport, we may have people taking day trips here, not overnight stays. So I don't know how to, in the future, factor that into the MOU, because I realize having people take a day trip doesn't benefit Visit St. Mary's at all because it's not an overnight stay. So that's something I just want us to keep in the back of our mind, to think about, to push out there.
Yeah.
But a lot of investment into the airport, and I want to see.
Yeah, the airport is a great and exciting opportunity for the area. You are right. And even at the state level and nationally, there is a change going on in the conversation around how you measure tourism, which is what you're talking about, how you measure the impact. Because especially in an area like this, a day trip, you're still spending money.
Right.
It's still impactful to a community like ours. And so we are actively looking at how can we really measure success on all fronts, from the day trip to the other people. And that airport, again, very exciting. And so as they develop what's going on inside the terminal, we're closely partnering with them. The same is true with the technology buildings as well. There's a lot of opportunity for people to come visit. We also have on our radar, of course, the Parks and Recs with the amazing work that's been done on the fields. So these are top priorities for the next year, is us looking at how we can activate around youth sports, around the airport, and around the amazing technology that goes on here in St. Mary's County.
Excellent.
So, yeah, so Commissioner Colvin, we have formed a committee to relook at the agreement because, as you said, it's based 100% on overnight stays, and we think there's probably too much emphasis. So we'll probably come back in the fall with some recommendations for some changes.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and then like we just had that SUAS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the
AUVSI
airport, first
student
time. It's been in Webster Field for
Phenomenal.
many years.
Yeah.
And it was great. I was out there, of course you were too, but to see the 30 teams that finally did their performance. Of course, I did talk to some of the organizers over lunch. I said, look, you need to find out somehow we can do a spectators out here. Because it's very difficult. Even I was right there by the runway, but you couldn't really see too much of the operation on the interior part.
Right.
And I don't know how to solve that, but somehow add spectators along the taxiway or something to attract people to that. Because it's a 3-day event.
Right.
And it was fascinating what those young people did in the colleges, and I think there was only 2 high schools there. But originally there were 71. This is throughout the world. I mean, this is a worldwide event.
Yeah.
And 71 had signed up, and only 30 were able to finally do their thing. But course, the outside countries had a hard time getting over here because of visa problems and everything else. They couldn't even get out of their own country. So, and of course, the COVID thing too, restrictions had a lot to do with it. But those kind of events, we need more of those.
Absolutely.
And talk to the people were very happy what we did there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can continue it or not. I think it'd be great to do, but somehow make it more of a spectator type thing also.
Yeah.
It was hard to see those little planes flying around, but
Right.
some of the operations were outstanding out there. It was really something to see.
Well, Commissioner Guy, we did have a kind of a post-event meeting yesterday. They did indicate they want to come back next year, and we talked about how we can involve the spectators. So one idea was, one of the things that's interesting was to walk through the tents and see all the drones.
Right.
So maybe have some kind of display up front, maybe a 2-hour window, where it's kind of like if you go to a NASCAR event, they have the cars out in front and stuff. People can
Right,
see the
right.
cars. So you
Same
go
type
out
of
and
thing,
see the
yeah.
drones, talk to the students, and maybe even have like a VIP gathering where elected officials and others could come and kind of meet the students and socialize.
Yeah, I was able to go out also. Absolutely incredible event. And the three teams from Turkey, team from Israel, team from India, I think Thailand, a team from there might have won it. But they would have these autonomous planes would fly, be controlled, take pictures, but then drop a vehicle that would fall down with a parachute and then drive and deliver a water bottle somewhere. Absolutely incredible. And it's a huge recruiting tool locally. So a lot of resumes were given out. And
Even Navarre was
good
there.
thing. Yeah.
Trying to recruit. It was very interesting. Great show.
Yeah,
More of those kind of things we definitely.
Yeah, we absolutely. I wish I could have been there. I was moving, but I want to give credit to the folks in economic development, because when that event was not going to be at Webster Field and not accessible to anyone, Chris's team really scrambled to make that happen, and our goal was to make sure that they knew there was enough opportunity to grow this into the vision that you guys are having right here, and great success. So we will work in partnership with them to build this into things, and I look forward to being there next year watching those things happen up in the sky.
It was very interesting. And of course, just like the Jazz Fest, it was a one-day event, and now we've grown to a 3-day event. Those are the kind of things we need to do to continue this tourism in our area.
Yeah.
Thank you all for doing all that work. Thank you.
All right, I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with Visit St. Mary's MD to carry out tourism-related duties on behalf of St. Mary's County for FY 2023 and have the Commissioner President sign all relevant documents.
Second.
Got a first and second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. And next up, also from the Department of Economic Development, the renewal of the MOA with the College of Southern Maryland for SBDC services to local business owners. And Ms. Wynn Briscoe joining Mr. Castellanos.
Thank you, Mr. Weisskopf.
South County representative.
Like the Visit St. Mary's, this is the annual agreement with the Small Business Development Center for next year's service, fiscal year 23. Commissioners approved an increase of $9,000 over the fiscal year 22 amount, so we're up to $46,500. SBDC has been providing services to the county since 1980, so they've been around a long time. They are funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration, and a requirement of this funding is that the local government must provide a cash match to defray program costs. So, as you guys know, the SBDC is conveniently co-located on our floor over in the Potomac Building. Dr. Frank Clinton, who's here today, is our on-the-ground guy, and we work with him very closely. And with that, I'll turn it over to Wynn to provide any comments she may have.
Well, thank you very much every year for renewing our MOU. We are greatly appreciative of the funding. And again, as Chris has said, Dr. Frank Clinton is the representative for St. Mary's County. So just wanted to give some brief overview, as we do every year, of our matrix and where we are for SBA. So on an average every year, we assist between 10 and 12 local small mom and pop businesses to start and open. And that process is not an easy process. If you're an existing business owner, you know that. So taking you from training, business planning, your financial planning, your build out, if you're a home-based business, helping you with your vendors, helping you with technology, getting you started through the permit process, working in conjunction with economic development staff, which is amazing, especially your staff that works with the permits, and helping those business owners work through zoning to be able to get to what we consider a successful opening according to SBA's guidelines. So an average of 10 to 12 a year. We have seen a slight increase of an entrepreneurship since the pandemic. I think that that was really the trigger that helped entrepreneurs and just people who are working their day job understand that, okay, we have a major global shift. Do I want to be working this job forever? I think it really brought an awareness to a lot of people, and they really aligned and adjusted their priorities and really what they foresaw for their future. So we have seen an uptick in service. And we are very grateful for SBA. They increased our funding for what we call CARES temporary staff. They started in October of 2020, and they just ended in March of 2022. And we were really grateful to be able to keep one of those staff members on, which is assisting all 3 counties in a subject matter expert arena for restaurant, retail, and hospitality. So for St. Mary's County, just to give you a brief overview for this last calendar year, and these numbers again will continue to increase. Our books don't close until the 30th, so we do have a few more days of reporting. But just up until today, we've assisted 306 unique individual businesses in our last fiscal year. We've retained and supported 740 jobs. Again, we've had an average between 10 and 12 new businesses that have started, and that's been a minimum of 70 jobs created, brand new jobs that have been created. And the dollar amount of loans and equity that have been infused in businesses over this last fiscal year, including grants and or other subsidized funding as far as loans, has been over $2 million. So that's just for St. Mary's County. So we're seeing that businesses are thriving and growing in certain industries that are willing to be flexible. The pandemic really did shake out those who weren't prepared, those who did not have financial savings, those who did not have systems in place to be able to sustain their business, no matter if it was a pandemic or whether it was any other type of crisis that arise. So I think it has brought awareness of what you do need to have within your business to have sustainability. And we're also going to be working with businesses for sustainability plans, because we understand we do have quite a bit of existing businesses who don't have an exit strategy. They just don't. They're just existing until they don't. And so we need them to understand there is a proper way to end your business if you are in business. What is your sustainability plan? What is your next step? So we really want to have that conversation with seasoned business owners. Thank you.
Ms. Briscoe, somebody reached out to me, an existing business, and what they're experiencing the challenges with the Metcom and the hookup fees and the, what's the term? They need some money. So the point was, they asked, were there any programs out there where they could borrow money or grants available to allow them to upgrade their Metcom line or grinder pumps or whatever the infrastructure may be necessary? Is that something, or do you only help with, you said $2 million, but I would have thought that had been existing businesses and new businesses, or just new businesses?
That's a combination of all businesses, entrepreneurs from start to existing, of $2 million of that they have infused into their business over the last calendar year. To the question of infrastructure upgrade, is that something that maybe there is a grant that's maybe you can look into, or a tax incentive offer?
We don't have any grants for those types of purposes, but aren't there SBA small business loans?
Sure, there would be, exactly. If they're looking at just a conventional business loan, then by all means, an SBA
looking
loan.
at something, quote unquote affordable. And what happens with them is they're facing a $50,000 or $60,000 upgrade to their grinder pump operation, and that's a big. It's a big hit.
Right.
And they want to figure out, is there a way that maybe they can use that with a renovation? It's a very long time business. If they wanted to, could they reach out to you? Would they reach out?
Absolutely. They can connect with us at the Small Business Development Center, and that's for any business.
What's your number?
They can go to sbdchelp.org and get all of our information right there. All of our contact information is SBDC Help, H-E-L-P.
Okay.
Okay, and that's our main website and connection, and any of our other platforms, they can connect with us as well. They can also connect through Chris's office, because if it's something that's Metcom related, we more than likely will be connecting with Casey and running permits and concerns. But an SBA loan would be appropriate, but again, depending on what their how their finances are, those things will matter.
Look, everything's individual. I get it, case by case.
It is, always.
But they were frustrated. There's nothing they seem to be able to do. And anyway, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Commissioners? Need a motion?
I move to approve the memorandum of agreement with the College of Southern Maryland to continue business counseling services from the Southern Maryland Small Business Development Center in St. Mary's County, and have the Commissioner President sign all relevant documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Commissioners.
much.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Briscoe.
Thank you. And last from the Department of Economic Development is the request to transfer of bond allocation authority.
Thank you, Mr. Weisskopf. Today, we're asking, we do this every year, we're asking the board to approve a transfer of bond allocation authority to the Maryland Department of Commerce and the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. Each year, the Department of Commerce notifies the county of the amount of bond authority that can be used by the county or transferred back to the state. The total amount includes a portion for housing and a non-housing portion. In January, we were notified the county of its non-housing bond allocation authority in the amount of $1,495,217 plus a bonus amount of $373,804 for a total of $1,869,021. Furthermore, the county was informed that the housing allocation authority is $4,361,049. It's recommended that the county transfer the allocations back to the state, which has been the practice of the county in the past. The housing allocation allows the state to fund housing programs and issue mortgage credit certificates. As a reminder, these allocations are simply bond authority limits, not actual bond funding. Our bond council recommends continuing the practice of returning the bond authority back to the state. This protects the county's debt affordability level and also eliminates the county labor and costs associated with bond issuance. In addition, these funds are available for projects in St. Mary's County.
I move to transfer both the housing and non-housing allocations of St. Mary's County's portion of the 2022 Private Activity Bond Authority to the appropriate state agencies, and have the Commissioner President sign all relevant documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Mr. Castellanos.
Thank you, Mr. Castellanos. Next up is from the Department of Aging and Human Services, fiscal year 2022. Senior Care Notification of Grant Award. Ms. Lori Jennings Harris, Director, presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Weisskopf.
Morning, Ms. Harris.
Commissioners. So the first agenda item is for the notification of grant award from the Maryland Department of Aging for senior care. The award amount is $130,925, and the senior care program helps older adults remain in their home by us assisting in providing programs and services for them, which may include personal care, emergency response systems, medical supplies, as well as medical equipment.
Well, I move to approve the Senior Care Grant Award Project MD 2203 for the Maryland Department of Aging on behalf of the Department of Aging and Human Services in the amount of $130,925 and the related budget amendment, and authorize the Commissioner President to execute the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners. And next up is by Ms. Harris as well, and it's the fiscal year 2022 State Grants Notification of Grant Award.
Thank you, Mr. Weisskopf. So similarly to senior care, this is from the Maryland Department of Aging in the amount of $83,003. And these multiple grants help us to provide services to seniors as well, advocating for them in long-term care facilities, providing nutritious meals, providing information and assistance to older adults and their families about resources in the community, health, insurance benefits, as well as in-home care programs.
I move to approve the notice of grant award for the state grants, project numbers MD 2201, MD 2202, MD 2204, MD 2206, and MD 2214 from the Maryland Department of Aging on behalf of the St. Mary's County Department of Aging and Human Services in the amount of $83,003 to provide various programs and services to the seniors of St. Mary's County. The related budget amendments for their respective project budgets and authorized the Commissioner President to execute the related documents.
Second discussion, just really quick. This is great work. These are relatively small amounts of money on these individual grants, but they're vitally important to help people age with dignity. So thank
Very
you.
impactful. Thank you so much.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Thank you. And next up, from the Office of the County Attorney, a resolution prohibiting entitlement to compensation resulting from service in more than one public office of St. Mary's County, in St. Mary's County.
Good morning again, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
This resolution is one of those fun ones where a lawyer discovers words that were written by another lawyer centuries ago that no one but another lawyer would care about. But as it is, what we have here is that in Article 35 of Maryland's Declaration of Rights, there is a provision that no person shall be allowed to simultaneously serve in more than one office of profit created by this Constitution or the laws of the state of Maryland. The practical consequence of what brought this to our attention is that there are some positions within county government that, if occupied by the same individual, could possibly run afoul of this constitutional provision. The specific example that came to mind, why our sights got turned on at this time, was the positions of the chairman of both the Police Accountability Board and the Administrative Charging Committee.
So that's the trigger on this?
That's what made us look at it. And then once we examined it, it became apparent that this could apply in more situations than just that one.
The person we put on from the Planning Commission.
Correct. And we will have more updates on the Police Accountability Board in a moment, but by law, the Police Accountability Board's chairman or another of his designees also serving on the Police Accountability Board must be on the Administrative Charging Committee. So by law, we have a situation where someone must occupy two positions. The question then becomes, if that position can be in both cases defined as an office, then the commissioner's attachment of a stipend to both of those positions creates it an office of profit, and thereby it would technically be invalidated or invalid under Article 35 of the Maryland Declaration of Rights. This is not the first time this has been encountered in the state. The fix that is taken at the state level on this approach is blanket language inserted into each year's budget bill that says that should any present office holder be appointed or elevated to a second or further office, that they are not entitled to any of the compensation, emoluments, stipends, et cetera, that may be attached to the second office.
Okay, let me, I don't mean to make this personal, but over 25 years ago, I was elected to the school board. I was also a member of the Planning Commission at the time. Wasn't 3 months into that, I got a notice from the county attorney said, Commissioner, or whatever I was at the Board of Education, you got to pick one or the other. You either got to resign from the Board of Education or you got to resign from the Planning Commission. Are you telling me now that you can not take the salary and you're allowed to serve on either both boards?
In that case, possibly not, because there's more than one way that someone could be rendered ineligible to hold two public offices. In this case, where you have two otherwise unrelated or at least compatible positions, but both are offices of profits, they're illegal under Article 35. Now, would not put my judgment over that of any past or present county attorney, but what you could have had in that situation, depending on the letter, was a thought that even if you had foregone,
even if you had foregone the compensation.
And not even just that. They would have had to pass special legislation or special resolution taking away your right to receive the compensation.
Isn't it easier to say we made a mistake in appointing this gentleman and that he has to make a decision which board he wants to be on?
That's one way to handle it as well. The situation that we could get into, though, is that we could take care of that one, make a removal, but by law, we have a situation where, at least in this one specific case, you have to be on both committees. And the only way we could do that then is take away the stipend
if he was
for one of
off
the
the
two.
Planning Commission, he could be on both of the PAB and ABB, right?
Pardon? because we have both the situation where we have a person who is on the Planning Commission and the PAB/ACC. I'm also talking just the situation where we have to have at least one person who is on both the Police Accountability Board and the Administrative
So it
Charging
applies to
Committee.
that, too?
It would apply to that, too,
Oh, man.
if both are offices. And that, you could make it.
That's like a foul-up, isn't it?
So it was the reason why this was okay at the state level, because it is the state's requirement that we have at least one person on both of those boards. It's not illegal to hold two offices at the same time if they're not offices of profit by attaching a stipend to both a member's service on the Police Accountability Board and a member's service on the Administrative Charging Committee. That creates two offices of profit, which by that. So what we do, the fix that takes care of any situation where the offices are compatible, but they're still two public offices of profit, is by taking away the right to receive any profit emolument compensation from that second office. It's not an office of profit. So while still being a public office and still subject to common law doctrines of incompatibility, you would at least not run afoul of Article 35's prohibition on holding more than one office of profit. And the way this would work in practical terms is we would have this resolution on the books. By passing it today, we have taken away someone's legal right to, if passed today, someone's legal right to receive a salary, stipend, whatever it might be, is gone. Once the legal entitlement to the compensation is gone, they are not, even if they're serving in that office, it is not considered for the purposes of the analysis under Article 35 an office of profit. So if anybody does ever challenge it, say that it is illegal for, John Smith.
Well, refresh my memory for a minute, please. Is the people who are on the Police Accountability Board, aren't those same people on the Administrative Charging Committee? Or is that two different sets of people?
Those are two different sets of people. You are allowed to overlap, and as stated, you must have at least one person overlap.
Well, then that gets to the emolument, I'm sorry, whatever the term is, clause. So it seems to conflict itself.
So the reason it doesn't conflict, the state's requirement doesn't, is because the state did not set any compensation or entitlement to
okay.
it.
We did that.
Correct. It was the appropriation to stipends that turned these into offices of profit.
Move that the Commissioner of St. Mary's County adopt a proposed resolution prohibiting entitlement to any compensation or emolument resulting from service in more than one public office of St. Mary's County and to execute all related documents.
Second.
Discussion, it's still confusing. I'm going to just say, not that I want to vote against it, but I'm going to abstain from it because it's just not clear enough for me.
So just to really simplify, you can't be paid for two different offices.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right?
But we are, because we've set this up so you have to serve on one, you have to serve on the other.
Well, the state set it up so they have to serve.
But we're the ones that put the compensation in.
And we just give.
Maybe we just take the compensation. I don't know.
And the practical consequences, if
It's
someone...
part of this whole thing about let's rush to install this board without any pre-planning, pre-guidance, what's the term?
Well, the rules aren't even in place.
The state has forced us.
Yeah. And this is just an Annapolis,
I swear.
shove it down real quick, make it look real good, and
I agree.
then we'll figure out the rules later on.
I mean, it's really not that difficult and complex because the person that serves on two could receive a higher stipend for the PAB, which makes it so you're not receiving compensation for the ACC.
In the higher
So
stipend,
there's nothing complex about it. It just says you can't get a paycheck for doing both jobs. So it's pretty straightforward. Regardless, rush, no rush. It's just like Mr. Weiskopf couldn't get a paycheck for being the interim county administrator and another paycheck for being the county attorney.
He was, but he was granted some additional pay for the additional duty.
That's different.
So
They had a separate job.
We could do the same thing with this, too, really.
Again,
I know it's confusing. Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Okay, ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next up is also from the Office of the County Attorney regarding the Police Accountability Board and Administrative Charging Committee update.
Morning again, Commissioners. Dovetailing perfectly from the conversation we just had. On Friday, HB 670 from last year's go-live date finally comes and goes. The Police Accountability Board must be staffed, functioning, so too the Administrative Charging Committee. And yesterday at approximately 9 o'clock, we finally received the guidance from the state on how to set these two boards up, how to implement them, how to staff them. And the purpose of this was knew the regulations were coming down and put this on the agenda item in case there were going to be major changes that would require restructuring of the county's Police Accountability Board and Administrative Charging Committee. Fortunately, the changes that have been wrought by the Maryland Police Standards and Training Commission do not affect the fundamentals of the resolution that the commissioners passed implementing the PAB and ACC. There are some procedure rules that are put in place, but those can be addressed by each board's adoption of bylaws when they first meet on the July 13th. So there will have to be some changes to the plans that existed, but those can be handled by the boards themselves in adopting their internal rules and procedures, and doesn't need to be handled with an amendment to the resolution that was passed by the commissioners at this time. I can summarize in quick a few of the changes or what was discussed about by the Maryland Police Standards and Training Commission. The most controversial thing that the MPSTC tried to do that they got into a row with the Office of the Attorney General over was this commission tried to pass certain minimum standards for service on the Police Accountability Board and the Administrative Charging Committee. Among other things, they wanted have to be at least 21 years of age, have to be a legal citizen of the United States of America, have to be a resident of the jurisdiction, no felony convictions, no basically adverse events in your criminal history record. There was a major, and it drug on for about 2.5 weeks dispute between the commission and the Attorney General whether they could mandate that to the counties. At the end of the day, the commission passed advisory language that counties could, if they wanted to, and if legal, implement those restrictions, or if restrictions like that. It wasn't a requirement. Even if they were requirements, the eligibility criteria recommended at the state level is satisfied by each of the applicants we have on the Police Accountability Board and Administrative Charging Committee. Other thing is, this is personal chagrin in my office, as Mr. Weiskopf was discussing earlier, they are forcing the Administrative Charging Committee to go by Robert's Rules of Order in conducting its proceedings. They are elaborated more clearly some of the procedure and who is going to be entitled to be present in the Administrative Charging Committee's deliberation over whether or not to administratively charge an officer accused of police misconduct. They've also set deadlines in which the Administrative Charging Committee must consider investigation files tendered by the police, must issue a written reporting. The other thing that was of constant, or at least frequent conversation was what, if any, trainings are going to be required. The Police Accountability Board will require no training set at the state level. There will be a training required of the Administrative Charging Committee, and that still has not been finally determined. What they're talking about, what contact in the Maryland Police Standards and Training Commission says is most likely, is that they are looking at one full day of training, and that the commission or its staff will be coming to each county individually to administer that training. No word yet on what will happen if a member of the ACC is unable or unavailable for that one particular day, but I imagine the invitation would be either to go to a neighboring county and receive training at that time, or perhaps there'll be a virtual option. Just watch training that was given to their county at a later date. If there are any questions on where the Police Accountability Board and the Administrative Charging Committee stand right now, happy to field them. For right now, we are in a position to go live on Friday. We have our email and complaint form ready for anyone to tender a complaint, and both boards are set to meet and have their first orientation on July 13th.
Okay, I see your note here. It says as of June 22nd, the regulations have not been disseminated. What about on June 28th?
So there was a memorandum that was passed last week when the original board, deadline to have something uploaded to board docs was required. That was the first memorandum. Put that one on there as basically a placeholder, hoping that there might be something in the interim. There is a supplemental memorandum uploaded to board docs yesterday where they did come out with the regulations.
Okay, so they are out there.
So they are on there, and the 3 regulations that came out of this, the 2 new chapters of COMAR and the universal, or the
So they were
Universal
they were
disciplinary
sent out
matrix.
June 27th.
They were sent out June 27th.
Anything else, Commissioners?
No, thank you for the update.
Thank you very much for the update, John.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate it.
Commissioners. Have a good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners, and that would resolve and ends County Administrator time.
Good, thank you, Mr. Wyskoff. Go around to Commissioners' time, and we'll start with Mr. Morgan this time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Haven't been here for a little while. We're back. We've had a good weekend. Last weekend, we had Juneteenth. Started with the Three Heroes celebration to Augie Square. A great Juneteenth that we moved over to the Paso Park. Well attended. People enjoyed themselves. Followed that by going down to the St. Mary's College Beer Bash. St. Festive Road had over a couple thousand people down there. This is a great fundraiser for St. Mary's City. We had the AUVSI competition at the airport. As was pointed out, we probably didn't have as many teams as we had hoped, but I'm really glad to hear they're coming back. Maybe when they talk about how we're going to maybe see things better, since we're going to have more time next year, possibly getting a TV. And I know when we did it down at Webster Field, there was a big TV and a screen that people could watch the event up. Like I said, I know it was short time down here, so it might be something we can look at in the future. We have 4th of July weekend coming up. It's going to be nice, hot, warm. I hope everyone's out there. Stay safe. And then starting next week on the 7th, we have early voting. Please do your legal obligation, or at least try to get out there, vote. We have multiple ways now to vote, whether it be early voting, mail-in voting, any way you want to vote in Maryland, you're just about able to vote right now. So with that, thank you very much.
John.
Thank you, Mr. President. There have been many events in the county, all of which the various commissioners have attended. I think Commissioner Morgan highlighted many of them. The one that I would like to speak about, which I thought was truly amazing, is the 75th anniversary of First Baptist Missionary Church of Lexington Park. We were invited to attend, and it was a great non-political event, actually, even though you had 2 commissioners there. I thought it was great that there was truly no political message given, that it was about the worship in their house and the congregation, and the proclamation that was presented honoring their service, their faith, and their commitment. The visiting pastor message was just truly amazing. And he started with a song from Show and Tell, and if anybody knows that song, it's a really good song, actually, and it's just about showing your affection and telling it through your words. But he used it in a different aspect of show and tell for the church, and getting out from the church and understanding that there's so many other facets going on, and there was some touching of he was in a glass house, shouldn't throw stones, and making sure that you walk the walk and talk the talk. Truly moving, and it was an honor to serve there. And there's multiple other conversations that came up from that, and one of the things that I took away from it is just politics in general, and the way we carry ourselves and the way we present ourselves and how we deal with information overload. And I found something that said any institution that is in power and opposition does all things to get only for its own goal and interest, no matter in a legal way or through illegal resources like forces of print, electronic media, negative propaganda, sends it out among the people. Spending as much money as possible, and it's called the dirty politics of evil spirits, and is shameful on our society. And it comes from somebody that was professed in faith here and from overseas. So I found that message from the church to encompass many things we're seeing in our society today, and the fact that that church has persevered through multiple things and built a strong faith-based outreach. I was truly amazed, and that's why I didn't want to talk about any of the other events. Just the commitment that
these members had to serving the community was amazing to me. So I was just honored to even be there and have the opportunity to say a few words. Fortunately, Commissioner Colvin was there as well. And, you know, I think the proclamation was the smaller point of what message was delivered. And in fact, nobody even took the proclamation. We had to sit down and put it on the side, and it was given later on. So I think that highlights the true service of that church. But thank you very much, Pastor. It was great to be there and hear your message. Thank you.
All right. I also want to send my congratulations to First Missionary Baptist Church on 75-year anniversary. Reverend Roderick McClanahan. Wonderful service. It was an honor to be able to represent the commissioners and present the proclamation to you, and it was great to be able to attend your worship service. I also want to echo Commissioner Morgan's comments on Juneteenth. The UCAC, Mike Brown, phenomenal job organizing it. I love it in the Passive Park. I know there was some controversy about whether to keep it in Lancaster Park or Passive Park, and it was a perfect day, perfect weather. It was a really good time. Everyone seemed to enjoy it. Flag Day 2 weeks ago was great Flag Day. Again, perfect weather, and thank you to everyone who was involved in that and made it possible. It was a good time at Flag Day. You've probably noticed there's an election going on. Today is the last day to register to vote or to change your party affiliation if you would like to. So whether you identify as a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, you need to be registered in order to vote. Today's the last day to register. Do it so that you can vote. It's a responsibility of citizenship. Everyone should vote. Finally, I want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike.
Thank you. Flag Day was great a couple weeks ago. Also, Chamber of Commerce had their annual dinner. I want to congratulate my buddy Ray Dodson. He got the top award, and Ray's a great guy. Congratulations. I missed Juneteenth. My grandson turned 5. It was amazing. He said it was the best day of his life. I guess, you know, when you're 5 years old, you can have the best days of your life still. What we had last week is we had our bi-monthly OPEB, which is the retirement trust, and our LoSAP meeting, along with the SORT meetings. And as people know, we've experienced what's been happening in the national level, and many people who have investments in the stock market, that the market's been way down. It's down 18, 20%, and Lord knows it keeps bouncing around. But what we had done over a year ago, or a year and a half ago, is we changed our paradigms, and we lowered our risk aversion. The good news is, while other people may be experiencing 12, 14, 15% reductions in their portfolios, our OPEB lost 5.3%, and our LoSAP lost 4.4%. The other good news is we're getting ready to invest $3.2 million, which we approved last year, come July 1st, into the market. It's a good time to invest because we might get some quality buys there. The point is that it's responsible budgeting, and it's responsible use of your funds. Responsible that we take care of our retirees and we take care of that commitment. We also got our first report from one of our rating agencies that, again, maintained our AA+ rating agencies. We are strong. Our economy is strong. Our county government is strong. And your finances are in good shape. Tonight is a public hearing on Snow Hill Park in Hollywood, and there's some valid concerns. The boat ramp, valid concern. The road that goes down to that park, Sandgates Road, it's a narrow road. You have to imagine somebody with a boat or a trailer behind it, they'll need a little bit extra space. These are valid concerns. So if you have those concerns, please show up tonight at 6:30 and come to the public hearing. Again, 4th of July, happy birthday, America. How good does it get? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Once again, I'd like to say, because we've mentioned several times about the Juneteenth, great celebration. I think the Passive Park was a good place to set it up, and I hope they continue doing it there. A little bit windy, but other than that, it was a great day. Some people lost their little tents, sort of blew over on them. But, and once again, I want to thank my American Legion Post 221 for the Flag Day demonstration of how we respectfully service and retire our flags that are worn and torn. And I want to let you know right now, please, if you have an old flag, don't throw it in the trash. Bring it to the senior center, so you can bring it here and give it to my office, and I'll make sure it gets put in our containers down at the post, so get ready for next year. So do not throw away your flags and bring them to us, and we'll take care of them for you. Also, once again, like I say, election is coming up. Unfortunately, it's normally a low turnout for, and it might be worse this year because of the middle of July. 19th of July, of course, is the primary day, but 7th starts the early voting through the 14th. Please show up to vote. We need you to practice what you're here for. That's part of our freedom in this country, and many of us have served in wartime conditions to protect that right. So please do serve, and please come out and vote. With that being said, before we go into our closed session, I'll remind everybody that tonight at the Recreation and Parks, where we're presenting the Snow Hill Park Master Plan. Come out with any of your comments, and we will try to incorporate them. At this time, I need a motion to enter into closed session.
Motion to move to closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel and real property.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. This meeting is ended. We're going to closed session.